Brutal truth, soldier left for dead in woods, but then two girls make a shocking decision. Deep in the heart of the dark, sprawling forest, where shadows danced like ghosts and the air hung heavy with untold secrets, a soldier lay motionless. His body was a canvas of nightmarish sights, mud smeared across bloodied brown fatigues, a deep gash marred the skin on his forehead, juxtaposed against the twisted trees looming above him. He had fought bravely, but now he was left behind, like a forgotten relic of war, abandoned to the cruel embrace of the wild. A chill crept through the woods, and something felt alive in the stillness, like the very trees were watching, waiting for the right moment to act. Around a bend, two girls paused. Casey and Mia, just shy of their teenage years, held hands tightly like a lifeline against the unknown. A curiosity propelled them forward, pulling their hearts into the depths of the eerie forest. There was an electric hum in the air, charged with the thrill of discovery and the dagger-like whisper of danger. They knew they shouldn't be here. It was a place for monsters, not children. The faint sound of ragged breathing echoed through the branches. They exchanged glances, wide-eyed and breathless. "Do you hear that?" Mia dared to whisper, her voice trembling like the leaves above. As they stumbled deeper, the oppressive darkness pulled at their courage. A beautiful yet unsettling silence enveloped them, too quiet, too still. They were no longer just adventurers, they were unwitting players in a twisted game of fate. The soldier, half hidden beneath tangled roots, lay there as if he were a ghost caught between two worlds. His body, cold and silent, drew them closer, a morbid beacon pulsating with unanswered questions. Who was he? What had happened? Then their eyes met his. The flicker of consciousness shot through him just as their screams tore through the silence. Startled, they fell back, adrenaline spiking through them like wildfire. "We need to help him," Casey shouted, breathless determination filling her voice. But what could two girls, armed only with fear and hope, possibly do against the weight of a man's fate? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Their hearts raced as a decision loomed over them. Should they run, leaving the soldier's fate to the merciless woods? Or should they stay, risking everything to reach him? It was an impossible choice. Mia's voice trembled again, fear weaving through her words as she looked back at the soldier. What if he doesn't want help? What if he? The thought hung heavily between them, a gaping chasm of uncertainty. Time seemed to freeze as they debated, their world narrowing down to the soldier's fading breaths. The question pricked at their consciences, igniting a fire in their hearts. What happens next? As they hovered at the brink of an extraordinary decision, the forest whispered and rustled around them, urging them to act. But would they answer the call? "Casey, what do we do?" Mia's voice trembled, torn between fear and a whisper of courage. The soldier's eyes, dark with uncertainty, bore into them, pleading for something they didn't fully understand. They were confronted not only with an injured man but with the weight of a choice that could change their lives. "I can't just leave him," Casey replied, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she took a cautious step toward the soldier. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat an echo of her determination. "He needs us." In a flash, Casey knelt beside him, the ground damp and cool beneath her. She reached out a trembling hand, brushing the dirt away from his forehead, revealing the deep gash that marred his skin. Panic gnawed at her stomach, and she glanced back at Mia, whose eyes mirrored the swirling chaos in her own heart. "Help me," Casey urged, her voice low and urgent. Mia stepped forward, hesitantly joining her friend, but the moment her fingers grazed the soldier's arm, a chill ran through her. He was a stranger, grim and imposing, and yet there was something human there, struggling beneath the surface. "What if he is dangerous?" she asked, her voice breaking. "I don't care," Casey shot back, hands trembling as they sought to lift him. "We can't leave him here." Together, they worked against the weight of despair. The soldier's body barely shifted, but with every small movement, they felt the world around them pulse with an urgent energy, heightening their senses as though the forest itself was alive, watching their every move. A sharp snap of a twig echoed behind them, jolting both girls to attention. Panic surged through Mia like a lightning bolt. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, glancing wildly into the dark thicket, eyes wide with fear. "Yes," Casey hissed, her determination faltering. "We have to hurry." With a fierce tremor in her hands, Casey pressed her palm against the soldier's forehead. "Stay with us," she said, the plea curling around her heart. "We're going to get you out of here." The soldier's eyes fluttered, and he seemed to grasp onto her words, his breath catching just a fraction tighter. But in that fleeting moment, Mia spotted a shadow creeping through the underbrush, something dark and menacing stalking them. "Mia!" Casey shouted, dragging the soldier closer. "Help!" There was no time for second-guessing. Casey spoke as she pulled with all her might, determination rippling through her voice. "Come on, I can't do this alone." Mia's heart raced as she turned to assist her friend. But the figure in the shadows lurked ever closer, and the forest began to stir, a sinister rustling, a low growl, a warning that something within the trees had awakened, hungry for the chaos unfolding at its feet. Sprinting toward them, the two girls grasped the soldier tightly. Lifting him was an impossibility, but together they managed to drag him to the nearest trees, using them for support as they raced against an unseen threat. "Where do we go?" Mia gasped, glancing back at the deepening gloom behind them. "Just move," Casey shouted, her breath hitched with fear and adrenaline. "We need to get away from him. There's something out there." But as they stumbled deeper into the forest, the distant thundering sound of footsteps echoed through the underbrush, growing ever closer. The girls could feel the weight of their choice pushing down on them, a sensation as tangible as the damp earth beneath their feet. "Did we make a mistake?" Mia wondered aloud, her voice a breathless shiver against the stillness closing in around them. As the dark figure finally emerged from behind the branches, the whispers of the forest faded into a haunting silence, leaving an eerie void pregnant with tension. What was hunting them? And would they escape or discover something even darker than the soldier's fate that awaited them? The darkness thickened, wrapping around the girls as they fumbled to prop the soldier against the rough bark of a tree. His breathing was shallow, a laborious rhythm in the suffocating silence of the woods. But what they couldn't ignore was the lurking presence behind them. Mia's fingers tightened around the soldier's arm, her pulse racing not just from fear but disbelief. "We can't just leave him here." "But what if it's a trap?" She bit her lip, confusion tightening her throat. Casey shot her an exasperated look. "He's hurt. We can't think like that." She moved to distribute the soldier's weight, shifting him further away from the approaching threat. But the more they struggled, the clearer it became that the forest had fallen into a deadly stillness, as if it too awaited whatever dark horror was hunting them. The growl came again, a low, throaty sound reverberating through the air, causing the hairs on the back of Mia's neck to stand on end. She turned, eyes wide, scanning the darkness for signs of danger. The shadows shifted, and then suddenly, two glowing eyes appeared, piercing through the blackness. "What is that?" Mia gasped, her voice trembling. "I don't know." Casey whispered back, her hands shaking as she tried to keep the soldier steady. "But we have to move." The soldier stirred, mumbling, and for a moment, the girls felt a flicker of hope. "Stay quiet," Casey urged, her heart pounding in her chest. She looked at Mia, then back at their only chance for escape. "We might have to leave him. There's no way we can know." Mia's voice rose, breaking through the tension. "We can't just abandon him. What if he can help us?" But the growling grew louder, more insistent, each sound chasing away their hope. The creature in the shadows had come. Casey grabbed Mia's wrist, pulling her close, and the soldier gasped, his hand clutching the dirt beneath them. "Help!" he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. In that moment, Mia met his desperate gaze, and her heart warped with a swell of fear and empathy. "We can't leave him," she said, her conviction burning bright against the terrifying unknown. "We can't just run away." Tension simmered in the air as the darkness around them thickened. It felt as if the forest itself pressed against them, the very trees holding their breath, anticipating what would happen next. Suddenly, a bark echoed, sharp and echoing. Then, the thud of heavy footsteps, pounding through the underbrush like drums of war. "Casey, it's coming!" Mia screamed, looking back to see the figure breaking through the brush at last, a monstrous wolf, its silver fur glistening in the pale moonlight, teeth bared in a terrifying snarl. "On 3!" Casey shouted, adrenaline surging as she hoisted the soldier's other arm over her shoulder. 1, 2, 3. They heaved, scrambling to drag him toward a narrow path they could barely make out, but the wolf lunged forward. The air crackled with palpable tension, and panic coursed through their veins. "Mia, run!" Casey commanded, eyes darting back toward the beast, but both girls hesitated, knowing they couldn't abandon the soldier. The moment stretched, filled with unstoppable dread. The creature advanced, focused and menacing. It was either fight or flight, and the weight of the world pressed down on their shoulders. "What do we do?" Mia's voice was barely above a whisper, the question hanging heavy between them as the wolf paused, a predator sizing up its prey. Suddenly, the soldier groaned louder, pulling them back to reality. "Get out now!" he gasped. The words spurred Casey and Mia into action, fueled by instinct and fear. They turned, but with the wolf howling in rage, they slipped further into the shadowy depths of the forest. Would they find safety, or would this decision seal their fate forever? Their hearts raced, adrenaline igniting a desperate fire as the wolf lunged again, and they ran, the forest closing in behind them. What price would they pay for the life they chose to save? And could they outrun the darkness that hunted them? Branches clawed at Mia and Casey as they stumbled through the underbrush, dragging the soldier between them. Each frantic step felt like a countdown, a race against the vicious rhythm of the wolf's pursuit. The sound of crushing leaves and snapping twigs echoed behind them, sending shudders through their bodies. "We can't keep this up," Casey gasped, her lungs burning from exertion. "He's too heavy." Mia shot her a look of determination that barely masked her fear. "We have to hold on just a bit longer. We can't let him die." "Not here," she urged, feeling the weight of responsibility settle like lead in her heart. With a sudden surge of energy, Casey adjusted her grip. "I can see a clearing up ahead. We might have a chance." She pulled harder, inching them closer, guided by the distant shimmer of the moonlight that broke through the trees. The soldier's breath came out in raspy gasps, and each wee stoked Mia's anxiety. "Stay with us," she shouted at him. But all he could manage was a weak nod, pain shadowing his face as his body slumped against them. The thunderous growls drew nearer, vibrating through the ground until Mia felt it in her bones. Panic surged, urging her to run faster, to fight against the thickening dread that clung to her. Then, with a lung-bursting leap, they broke into the clearing, a wide expanse of moonlit grass that felt like sanctuary, but it was empty and exposed. They could see the stars cosmic and vast overhead, yet in their hearts, darkness loomed just as heavy. "Over there." Casey pointed toward a massive oak tree at the far edge of the clearing. Its twisted roots formed gnarled barriers that could shield them if only they could reach it before the beast caught up. All together, Mia panted, and they hoisted the soldier between them. The moon's light illuminated the sweat on their brows, a testament to their desperation. They took off again, charging toward the tree, hope and dread swirling together in a tangled embrace. Just as they reached the trunk, they heard it, the wolf burrowing into the clearing, its breath ragged, its glowing eyes scanning the field for its prey. Casey pressed her back against the trunk. It won't stop. We have to think. She hissed, eyes wide and frantic. Mia's mind raced. What if we lure it away? Like in the movies. Are you crazy? Casey shot back, incredulous. You think we can take it on? It's huge. Yet in the soldier's trembling eyes, Mia found something that had been missing in embers of resolve. We can't wait for it to find us. If we trying something, it might buy us time. Casey hesitated, calculating the risks. The wolf's growls became a chilling backdrop, a reminder of the danger closing in. What do you think we should do? Mia swallowed hard, her throat dry with fear. We'll create noise. Draw it to the other side of the clearing. Then we make a break for it. The soldier managed a small gasp. We can't let it get you go. His voice barely rose above a whisper, but his spirit shone through the shadows. The girls exchanged a glance, a mix of fear, courage, and a shared understanding. All right, Casey nodded firmly. We do this together. If we die fighting. Mia helped the soldier lean against the tree, heart hammering louder than the growls. She picked up a rock, ready to throw it toward the back edge of the clearing. With all her might, she hurled the stone, making it crash into a thicket of brush. Now! She yelled as the wolf's head snapped in that direction. Instincts peaked. Without waiting to see if it worked, they tore back into the shadows of the trees, feet pounding erratically against the forest floor, hearts pounding even louder. But as they glanced back, they realized the wolf was on them, the ground shaking with each massive paw as it gave chase. The fight was not over. In fact, it had just begun. Would they outrun the predator stalking them, or would they face the savage truth of their fate? The girls had one shot, but as the weight of the world pressed down and the shadows threatened to swallow them whole, they couldn't shake the feeling they were racing against time. Mia darted between the trees, heart racing. The wolf's growls reverberated around them, a haunting melody that urged her to move faster. She felt the cool night air biting at her skin, but the warmth of adrenaline surged through her. Keep going. Don't stop for anything, she shouted to Casey, who stumbled slightly, glancing back in terror. They needed to get to the safety of the dense woods, but it felt like the shadows were closing in, suffocating them with each heartbeat. Branches scratched at their arms, pulling at their clothes in a desperate attempt to slow them down. Mia clenched her jaw, focusing solely on escape. The soldier's weight was a leaden anchor, but she felt his resolve pushing her forward. We will make it, she yelled, more to convince herself than anyone else. Suddenly, a sharp yelp pierced the night air. Mia spun around, her breath catching in her throat. The wolf had managed to slip through the trees, its massive form gliding silently over the forest floor. It paused, nostrils flaring, tasting the scent of their fear. Run! Casey screamed, and together they bolted deeper into the woods. The soldier groaned, his face shimmering with sweat and agony, but they couldn't stop, couldn't hesitate. As they skirted past boulders and fallen trees, Mia's mind raced. Each frantic step echoed with uncertainty. Where could they hide? They needed a plan, something bold enough to buy them time. A glimmer of hope sparked as Mia spotted a narrow cave entrance half hidden behind thick ivy. It was risky, but standing out in the open felt like a suicide mission. There, she pointed. We can hide in there. Casey shot her a doubtful look. What if it finds us? Then we fight. We won't go down without a fight. Mia's voice trembled, but fury fueled her spirit. They stumbled into the cave, dragging the soldier after them. The air inside was cool and musty, muffling the sounds from the outside world. They could hear the wolf prowling around the entrance, its low growls reverberating against the stone. Mia's breath caught as she scanned the shadows. Dim light illuminated the cave walls, glistening with moisture. It felt claustrophobic, walls closing in on them. We need to cover the entrance somehow, she whispered, glancing around. With what? Casey asked, fear etched into her features. Anything we can find. Look. Mia pointed to the debris scattered on the cave floor, old branches, rocks, and bits of brush. They could fashion a barricade, something to mask their scent. The soldier pressed against the back of the cave, eyes half-lidded. Don't waste time, just go, he rasped, but Mia refused to listen. A flicker of resolve burned in her chest. They couldn't leave him, working frantically. They piled rocks and branches at the entrance, holding their breaths with every sound the wolf made. Minutes passed like hours, the weight of uncertainty thick in the air. Suddenly, a sharp howl echoed through the night, reverberating around them. The wolf was close. Mia could hear its heavy panting, the crunch of leaves as it circled the cave, hunting them. Please, help me, the soldier begged weakly. Just leave. No. We're not leaving you. The cave fell silent, as panic raced through the air. What if the wolf found them here? What if they trapped themselves inside with it instead of escaping? Just then, the cave trembled as the wolf lunged against the barricade, knocking some debris loose. Mia's heart leaped into her throat, and she turned to Casey, wide-eyed. Get ready to run, she urged breathlessly. But as the barricade shifted, falling slabs of stone revealing the entrance, both girls froze, staring in disbelief at the moonlit path beyond. It was now or never. They had but a heartbeat to decide their fate. Would they make a break for it, or would they face the predator lurking beyond? The girls' eyes locked on the darkened maw, pulse racing as hope hung in the balance. In that instant, as tension hung thick in the air, another growl erupted, but it was different this time, a challenge. And then a shocking realization hit Mia. Maybe they weren't alone. Mia's heart pounded in her chest, the chorus of growls vibrating through the cave, tugging at her instincts. She peered into the shadows beyond the cave's entrance, where the moonlight danced, revealing more than just the lurking wolf. There were shapes, more shadows, possibly more eyes watching their plight. Everything in her screamed to bolt, but the thought of leaving the soldier behind felt like betrayal. Casey, she hissed, clenching her fists. We can't. We have to stay together. Together? Casey spat, panic straining her voice. We're not a team anymore. We're prey. The soldier groaned, the sound raw and painful. Listen to her, Mia, leave me, he said, his voice hoarse. You have a chance. Take it. No. We're not leaving anyone. We'll figure this out. Mia shot back, desperately holding on to her conviction. Another growl thundered outside, a predatory sound that clawed at her nerves, revealing the chaotic darkness that surrounded them. The shadows shifted, and in the moonlight, Mia saw what had been obscured, a pair of eyes, glowing like jack-o'-lanterns, fixating on them. An unmistakable shudder rippled through her, the soldier's breathing quickened, and Mia's mind raced. There must be something we can use. She glanced around the cave, hunting for inspiration. It was her responsibility to protect them. As she furiously scanned the area, her eyes fell on a jagged rock formation in the far corner of the cave. It jutted out like a natural weapon, a sharp spear against the impending doom. Casey. Look. Mia pointed excitedly. We can use those rocks if we can somehow get them towards the entrance. Are you insane? Casey blinked incredulously. That won't do anything but get us killed. You heard those howls, they're getting closer. Every pulse of sound sent shivers down Mia's spine. Her resolve wavered. But then she remembered the look in the soldier's eyes, the way he refused to give up even as the threat loomed. Would you rather take a chance and fight for our lives, or just wait here to be hunted? Casey bit her lip, uncertainty darting through her eyes, but the soldier gave a weak nod. She's right. If you believe in something, you fight for it. The gravity of their situation weighed heavily on them all, but Mia's determination ignited anew. Together. We make a stand, and we do it now, she asserted, the fire swelling inside her. With newfound urgency, they crawled toward the sharp rocks, carefully balancing the urgency of time with the need for stealth. Just as they began to lift a heavy stone, a horrifying screech echoed from outside. The wolf was no longer alone, the challenge had brought forth others. Mia's eyes widened. It's a pack. We need to hurry. The sound of heavy paws and frenzied howls filled the air, drowning out her thoughts. The barricade shuddered violently. It was only a matter of moments before their cover would be blown. The soldier yanked himself up, his breath ragged. Don't let them in. We can't let them take us. Mia lunged forward, her body moving as if independent of her mind, and managed to swing the rock back toward the entrance. The reverberation pulsed through the cave, but just as she took her stance, a howl erupted even closer, chilling her blood. Suddenly, Casey grabbed her arm, pulling her back. Mia! Look! Through the swaying shadows, a figure emerged, a smaller creature, a pup left alone while the rest of the pack prowled. It stood trembling at the cave entrance, drawn by their scent but unaware of the chaos transpiring. Wait! Mia's voice drifted into stillness as realization dawned. It's just a baby. But before she could react, the mature wolf seized the chance, charging toward the cave. Run! The soldier shouted, pushing Casey and Mia toward the deeper recesses of the cave, his voice a desperate plea drowning in the wild horror outside. Panic washed over Mia as the trio scrambled back further, the shadows shifting ominously. But that tiny, trembling pup didn't belong with the hunters. What would they do now? Should they rescue it? Or focus on survival? As the thrumming chaos drew nearer, a desperate question burned in Mia's mind: would saving one creature cost them everything? And just as the shadows loomed ever closer, Mia felt a chilling rush of dread wash over her. They were running out of time. What would she choose? Without hesitation, Mia's heart ached at the sight of the helpless pup shivering in the moonlight. She glanced at Casey, whose eyes mirrored the fear swirling within her. We can't just leave him, she spoke, barely above a whisper. The words felt heavy, almost like a weight she couldn't bear to lift. I can't believe we're even considering this. Casey shot back, her voice trembling. Just as she finished speaking, a chorus of snarls erupted outside, each growl vibrating with primal fury. The soldier's face blanched, and he squeezed his wounds, a wave of sharp agony coursing through him. I'll hold them off, he gasped, determination flaring in his eyes. You two save the pup and get out. No. We're not splitting up. Mia instinctively protested, shaking her head furiously. What chance do we have alone? The soldier grimaced. The idea was madness, but his body was failing him. He might not have much strength left. The shadows at the cave entrance loomed larger, their jagged silhouettes growing more daunting with every passing second. Mia took a moment, flashing back to memories of kindness shining through the darkness, the moment when Casey had helped her up after a fall, or when the soldier had assured them they were safe in those treacherous woods. That glimmer of humanity anchored her. If we save the pup, maybe we can close the entrance, she implored, a plan slowly forming. We can protect everyone. Casey winced but found herself captivated by Mia's fierce conviction. The world, thick with danger, suddenly felt broader, filled with choices. Just one chance, Mia. If we die trying. Mia nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. We fight for all life, right? With no more time to lose, the three clambered backward until they reached the cave's cold, damp walls. As another howl pierced the night, they all felt it deep in their bones: fear, raw and unfiltered. On the count of 3, we grab him and rush toward the rocks, the soldier whispered, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his fear. 1, 2, 3. Mia lunged forward, her hands outstretched, half expecting the shadows to swallow her whole. She scooped the trembling furball into her arms. Its tiny body vibrated with terror under her touch, but she was its hope, its chance for life. Now! She shouted, adrenaline surging through them as they rushed back to the stone barricade. But that very second, the cave's entrance exploded with ominous growls. Shadows dashed forward, eyes flashing like tormenting flames. The wolves were upon them. In the chaos, the pup began to howl, its voice a heartbreaking wail, a sound that easily reached the ears of the pack outside. Casey held her breath, each second dragging on, the atmosphere thick with dread. "No!" she screamed, shoving her weight against the massive stone. No time to ponder the consequences. They had to move. The soldier grunted as he pushed with them, but pain etched itself across his face. "Keep going. I'll block." With one swift decision, Mia pivoted and threw her own weight against the rocks, desperate to secure their backs. A heavy swirl of adrenaline coursed through her veins, but it was blinding. She felt a glimmer of hope flicker as they began to push, but just when they thought they could contain them, she heard a sound that froze her blood. A shrill, bone-chilling howl pierced through the chaos. It was unlike anything she had ever heard. "Mia! What did you do?" Casey's voice rose an octave in panic. Mia's face narrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" But just then, the entrance erupted, revealing a massive figure rushing toward them, larger, angrier than the rest. The Alpha. His eyes glinted with predatory intention, a testament to raw strength and endless fury. "No. Not him." Mia breathed, paralyzed by fear. "Run!" the soldier roared, but the shadows had found them. As the pack bore down, Mia realized there would be no escape without sacrifice. She held the pup closer, while heartbeats thudded in unison. The true fight for survival was about to begin, but at what cost? And as the soldier steadied himself for the impending clash, the haunting question lingered in Mia's mind: would they all be forced to pay the ultimate price for courage? In that moment of uncertainty, fate reared its head, leaving everything hanging on the edge of terror. Would bravery yield salvation or destruction? Mia's heart raced as the Alpha's massive form loomed closer, a tidal wave of terror crashing over her. The ground trembled beneath his weight, and his feral gaze drilled into her, a predator's focus, sharp and calculating. The shadowy wolves swirled around, ready to strike, their snarls filling the cave with an awful symphony of dread. "Push!" The soldier's rough voice cut through the whirlwind of fear, and with a final heave, they shoved against the rock. But the Alpha was undeterred, lunging forward with a speed that left no room for doubt. He was a hunter, and they were his prey. "Casey! We have to split up!" Mia shouted, the realization dawning on her. "Distract him. Get the pup to safety." "No, Mia. I won't leave you." Casey's eyes flashed with defiance, but Mia could see the cracks forming in her bravery. They didn't have time for hesitation. "Just do it. We'll meet at the old oak." The plan felt reckless, but they were gripping onto something fragile. Hope. With a reluctant nod, Casey clutched the pup tighter. "I'll do my best." She darted to the side, her footsteps echoing against the cave walls as the soldier readied himself, fighting to steady his stance. "Go!" he urged, a growl forming in his throat. He braced for battle, desperation clinging to his every movement. But as Casey bolted, Mia hesitated, torn between life and the instinct to protect. "Mia!" The urgency in his voice snapped her from her turmoil. She couldn't fail him. Momentarily, she turned to the soldier, their eyes locking in a desperate understanding. "Just hold on." Mia made her choice, springing towards the soldier. Together, they pushed against their mooring, trying to amplify their shield against the approaching menace. The Alpha snarled, furious and unyielding. In that instant, a flicker of victory surged within Mia. If they held steady, they might force the pack back. Then it happened. An explosive roar split the air, cascading through the cave like rolling thunder. "Watch out!" the soldier shouted, shoving Mia away just as the Alpha lunged forward, his claws skimming dangerously close to her face. Mia tumbled back, her world blurring. Gasping, she blinked against the dimness. The soldier's body was barely a shield against the might of the Alpha. The blood pumping in her ears drowned out everything, including herself. She felt weightless. Time slipped away. "Mia! Get to Casey!" he screamed, the strain of combat resonating in every syllable. She scrambled to her feet, desperation flooding her. She turned. "Casey!" A scream bubbled out of her as sheer panic gripped her mind. Thoughts of the pup, of Casey, of the soldier, each fragmented piece sent icy shards of terror slicing through her. The pack surged, relentless, overwhelming. The tunnel of dark fur and sharp teeth flashed before her, and she had a choice to make. Heart thudding, she raced for the exit, adrenaline coursing through her veins, each step pushing her closer to madness. "Stay alive!" The soldier's voice echoed behind her, filled with defiance, but the sound warped as it collided with the cacophony of snarls. Outside, cold wind hit her like a slap. Casey was nowhere to be seen. The darkness loomed dangerously close, the oppressive feeling of being lost weighing down heavily on Mia's soul. "Mia!" Relief washed over her at the sound of Casey's voice, but it mingled with fear as the shadows slithered closer. She turned toward the sound, her heart pounding against her ribcage, driven by unstoppable instinct. "Over here!" Casey shouted, her own voice strained and quavering. The pup's, but the word was drowned out by another horrible howl. It wasn't just the pack, it was chaos erupting behind Mia. She leaped forward, but the sight that awaited her sent shards of ice down her spine. Casey was cornered, defensive, clutching the makeshift shield of her backpack. The pup whimpered in her arms. Mia's breath hitched. "No! Casey, don't!" But it was too late. The alpha wolf charged, fury rippling through him as he lunged at Casey's vulnerable form. "Mia! Help!" Everything froze in that moment, time, breath, pulse. Mia widened her stance, ready to throw herself between her friend and the unimaginable horror. The adrenaline thrummed in her veins, the clash of fight or flight pounding in her ears. What would she sacrifice this time? As always, the echoes of courage wrestled with fear's deadly embrace. And as the alpha bore down, Mia understood this was it. They would either face their doom together, or one of them would be left behind. With the instinct to fight surging through, she pushed forward. "We will not give up." But just as she thought she could reach them, a blinding light flared from deep within the forest. It illuminated the scene ahead, freezing all motion. What was this new force? In that heartbeat, the only certainty was that everything was about to change. The blinding light exploded like a star, radiating warmth that cut through the biting cold of the night. Mia squinted, momentarily blinded, while the chaos around her dimmed like a poorly tuned radio. Shadows recoiled, the snarls of the pack faltering, replaced by a stunned silence. "What is happening?" Mia whispered, her breath visible in the frigid air. With a gasp, Casey's head whipped around, her fear palpable. "Mia, the pup!" Mia's gaze snapped to the bundle her friend held. The small creature squirmed, its innocent whimper barely audible over the stillness. The glowing light began to pulse, illuminating the clearing with a strange, ethereal glow. It crawled closer, unraveling the night's secrets with every shimmer. The alpha wolf hesitated, his feral eyes flickering between the girls and the uncanny light. It was as if the ancient beast recognized something powerful within it, something that posed a direct challenge to his dominion. "Mia!" Casey's voice cracked, raw terror flowing through her. "What do we do?" A heartbeat ticked by, each second stretched to eternity. Questions flooded Mia's mind. Could the light be a sign of hope or a cruel deception? With the shadows whispering dangers behind her, she took a shaky step forward, instinct urging her on. "Stay close to me," she murmured, determination spilling into her voice. Together, they edged toward the source of the light. As they approached, the shimmering brightness coalesced into a figure tall, magnificent, like a specter of old, wielding power that fell like rain around them. "What? Who is that?" Casey gasped, clutching the pup protectively. Suddenly, the figure turned, eyes gleaming like facets of precious stones. "You seek safety?" The voice was melodic yet authority dripped from every syllable. Mia nodded, fire igniting within her past the shock. "We need to protect him." She pointed toward the Alpha, who was regaining his confidence, snarling at this unexpected intervention. "Then you must stand together," the figure instructed, raising a hand. Light radiated into a tangible barrier, encasing the girls, the pup, and their adversary within a dome of brilliance. The Alpha lunged against the shield, his primal rage undercut by confusion. The light flickered but held firm, drawing a primal growl from the depths of the beast's throat mixed with fear. It was as if the wolves sensed their impending defeat, and they stepped back, eyes wide and concerned. "What does it want?" Casey breathed, trembling. "To test you," came the wise response. "Will you fight to save what matters?" Mia's heart hammered fiercely. "We will. We have to." The figure nodded, and the light pulsed, illuminating hidden paths in Mia's heart. "Then embrace your fears." With that command, the air shifted, thickening like smoke around them. Even enclosed in the light, the danger felt palpable. "Casey, we need to show it we can defend ourselves," Mia declared, and Casey nodded reluctantly, determination flaring in her eyes. They stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to face the encroaching shadows. The Alpha whirled back to them, teeth bared, but instead of fear, fire burned within Mia. "Now!" she shouted. Before they could react, the light surged, and the ground hummed beneath them. It was as though the entire forest responded, weaving into the pulse of their hearts. But the moment they needed the energy, a stark realization hit. What if they couldn't harness it? What if the truth of their conviction led them into deeper despair? As the Alpha prepared to charge, Mia faced him, unyielding. "We will find a way." When the paws of the Alpha finally struck the ground, thunderous and fierce, the brilliance around them flickered like a candle in a windy storm. Would the light protect them long enough to let them awaken their true power, or was this a desperate step toward an abyss? With breath held tight, Mia stepped forward, ready to battle not just for her friend and the pup, but for the very soul of who they were beneath the weight of this darkness. And as the Alpha descended, a chilling howl echoed through the woods, a howl that promised chaos but also whispered of a clarion call, urging them to embrace the unknown lurking just out of reach. What awaited them when the light faded? The cave trembled as the Alpha lunged, jaws snapping, a force of nature ready to claim its prize. But just as panic threatened to consume them, a wall of light surged, pulsating with the power of courage and resolve. It encased them, shielding them from the raging storm outside, creating a fragile barrier against the chaos. Mia felt the energy swell within her, a fierce energy that ignited a blaze of determination. Together, she breathed, warmth radiating through her like fingers of sunlight breaking a morning fog. They were more than just girls caught in a nightmare, they were warriors in their own right. Together, Casey echoed, a fierce glint in her eyes. The soldier steadied himself beside them, mustering his strength. The glowing figure connected them to a deeper resolve, wrapping them in a collective spirit that felt ancient and fierce. The Alpha snarled, relentless fury twisting its features. It charged again, the sound of its heavy paws reverberating in the cave. But this time, the girls wouldn't cower. "We're not afraid of you," Mia yelled, feeling the weight of their fear shift into resolve. "Push back, Mia. It's our only chance." The soldier urged, eyes locked on the beast, an embodiment of the darkness that had sought to consume them. "Now!" Mia shouted, the light surging in response to her command. Together, they channeled their intentions, a force ignited by sheer willpower. The shimmering barrier transformed into a powerful wave that shot forward, pushing against the Alpha. The wolf collided with the force, momentarily knocked back, confusion flickering in its terrifying gaze. The pack shrank back, sensing the change, their energy sapped by the determination of those who stood united. "This is our fight," Casey urged, holding the pup tightly to her chest. We won. Let fear win. Mia's heart raced as the light intensified, illuminating their surroundings. She could feel the bond they shared with the source, a connection fueled by love and solidarity. We fight for each other. She yelled, fear surrendering to powerful resolve. We fight for every life. The Alpha, riled and furious, lunged again, but this time the energy crackled like static, as if the very air was charged with determination. No! Mia shouted, summoning the light. All at once, it burst forth, enveloping the Alpha in an explosion of brilliance. For a moment, time stood still, a desperate heartbeat teetering between darkness and light. As the Alpha was consumed by the radiance, its snarls morphed into a cacophony of something new, a howl of surrender mingled with a distant echo of grace. The shadows that had haunted them began to recede, fear turning to refuge. The pack disbanded, retreating into the night, leaving behind the battered remains of the chaos that lingered like smoke in the air. Breathless, Mia, Casey, and the soldier stood in awe, basking in the triumph of survival. The glow faded, but the warmth of their victory lingered. They exchanged glances, relief washing over them like a spring tide. Did we do it? Casey whispered, her heart still racing. Together, we did, the soldier replied, a faint smile breaking through his exhaustion. You saved my life and your own by fighting for what matters. As he leaned against the cave wall, the truth shone brighter than the light that embraced them. They weren't merely survivors in the woods, they were fighters, guardians of hope who had salvaged a flicker of life in the shadows. They didn't need to fear the darkness anymore, they had faced it head-on and emerged stronger than they had ever believed possible. Mia looked at Casey, then the soldier, a sense of peace washing over her heart. We need to get out of here, she said softly, the chill of night fading as dawn began to unveil itself. Together, the three of them stepped out of the cave, greeted by the glowing hues of the morning sun spilling laughter across the trees. The forest, once menacing, now felt familiar and alive with promise. As they made their way back, laughter began to bubble up between them, a sound that danced through the trees, pushing the shadows back beyond reach. No longer defined by fear, they emerged as friends forged through the flames, bonds strengthened by both peril and sacrifice that in the end, they had not only saved their lives but had come to understand the essence of bravery, that courage dwells within, waiting to be summoned in the moments it's needed most. They turned their eyes toward the path ahead, each heart full of hope. The world looked brighter now, a canvas waiting for them to paint their stories upon it. This was just the beginning. And if you felt the rush of this journey alongside them, it's time to act. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and show your support, because this is the moment to propel this incredible community forward. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear all your thoughts, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Your support means everything. Let us keep this adventure alive together.